it's not surprising that DeSantis won. It is somewhat surprising that he's winning by this margin, but maybe not as much.
Are you really going to sit next to me and say that when I called this so long ago? And
I didn't say he was going to win by that wide of a margin.
I said it was going to be huge. I said it was going to be double digits. I told you my call was 12. My call was 12, and you thought it was going to be under 10.
Well, I said 210. 10 was the point spread that he was given.
We have an over-under on that, and I win.
All right, so DeSantis might win this race by 20 points, which is...
crazy.
I mean, it's unheard of. It's the biggest electoral victory in the state of Florida in probably 2.5 decades. So nothing has been seen like this in almost a generation.
I knew this was going to happen. I did.
But the real rub here is that they spend so much money on ads, particularly for Demings, and to a lesser extent, Crist. They completely neglected all of these down ballot races.
All of it.
They almost lost a couple of congressional seats. I mean, there's 28 congressional seats in the state of Florida, and 20 of them are now red. This used to be a pretty even state for the most part in the congressional races. Now everyone thinks that this state got really heavily gerrymandered. No, that's not the case. It is gerrymandered, but not to the significant degree that people would say. The fact that...
Well, our district.
Here's a better example. They actually thought that Maria Elvira Salazar versus Annette Taddeo was going to be a close race. Maria is going to win that race over Annette Taddeo by probably 15 to 20 points. That ain't close. In fact,
I knew that.
That's downright despicable that it could be that bad. But what I think that really speaks to, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this, the Florida Democratic Party, led by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, needs to go. There needs to be a complete house cleaning, but there really needs to be a house cleaning at the top within the party infrastructure. Because right now, there are a lot of people who want to make the Democratic Party the party of FDR and JFK and LBJ once again, a party of labor. But there are way too many people standing in the way of that right now, and there is way too much financial incentive to keep it that way. But giving up 30 electoral votes, basically conceding it every election now to the GOP, which allows the GOP to now invest in their infrastructure in Georgia and Arizona and bring them back into the fold. Whatever they thought they accomplished in 2020, which was a complete flash in the pan, is completely gone now, no matter what happens tonight. The significance of this victory, the margin of this victory, is earth-shattering, as it should be. The fact that Lee Zeldin is even competitive against Kathy Hochul in New York should scare the shit out of everybody. Yeah. That, to me, is the bigger issue here. The Democrats are absolutely terrible at messaging, and they're even worse when it comes to policy. I don't give a rat's ass what they're selling or what they're saying, because they really have no messengers in the party. They have a president that is so unbelievably out of his element that you have to wheel out Obama again to go out there and canvass for these candidates, including Mandela, who I hope is able to beat Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. But when you really don't have what is considered some semblance of a bench of a party that's growing, Carrie Lake is going to win the governorship in Arizona, and she is immediately going to move to the front of the list in that party. That is a scary thought.
It'll be a DeSantis Lake ticket.
How do you stop something like that if you don't have a labor movement on the outside that is going to force the Democratic Party to concede, at least to some degree? Even if they don't concede, you've got to have a movement that is non-electoral, that is based on labor. That's
well, Democrats think you beat the right from the center.
That is what they think. All right, that's my rant. I'm sure it'll make for good TV.
Okay, look, I've been. Didn't even want to talk very much, and I think I made that clear to begin with my mood. But I do want to say that I think that the task of labor is got to be inside and outside of politics. Okay, last spring, Sarah Nelson and I joined Max in it was a Real News Network production, right? And you know, Alan Minsky and I had come on here to talk about the Economic Bill of Rights. And I think that labor really does have to itself not only do the things that we've all been talking about, they really also have to start offering their own vision. It's absolutely essential that they offer a vision, because in the absence of a political party, then that means that labor is going to itself have to do the things that a political party would do. And of course, we're not helped by the fact that the labor leadership of the AFL-CIO does not care. They're equally establishment these days. Okay. And, but what I want to say in particular is this, in response to what you're saying, and that is that until the Democrats actually point a finger in the direction Bernie was pointing at Capitol, the Democrats will never recover. They have got to start pointing a finger. I mean, I'm going to base this on the FDR story. FDR tried at the outset. He was very keen, by the way, he was very keen to redistribute power and wealth. And people utterly underestimate the degree to which he was very clear about that. But what really turned him from being a progressive into truly, and I mean this sincerely, a radical president was the fact that Capitol turned on him. Okay. And he then really went after them. Okay. He actually said it's time to overthrow their power. And until the Democrats start talking about doing just that, I don't know how they can possibly hope to turn this tide. Because look, in the absence of having done that for 40 to 50 years, what the Republicans did is they basically turned every single problem in America into a problem that had something to do with some race. Okay, whether it was Mexicans coming in from the South, or blacks in the city, whatever it was, they turned it into a racial question. And now it's so virulent, okay, that even anti-Semitism, which was presumed to be a marginal set of ideas in American life, is now somehow bandied about in the mainstream. Okay. And that's first. The second thing is that the Democrats they just ignored what was accomplished in the 30s in this respect. Americans were so divided along race and ethnic and religious lines in the 30s. But what enabled a generation, for all of their faults and failings, to get it together is they were pushed because of the crisis to work together inside of things like the CCC and other works projects. And if the Democrats if we ever win over the centrists and the corporate Democrats and actually have a party that's at least a labor-oriented party, we've got to figure out how to create experiences in which people literally are taken out of their limited understandings and compelled to work with other people to build the nation. The remedies are all there. The Democrats just don't want to do it because they're all making too much money and enjoying too much power with the status quo. Like these DC consultants, right, who basically run so many of these campaigns, man, they're already looking forward to 2024. Okay, because there isn't a single politician who's not going to call DC and hope for some kind of DC consultant to come out and tell them what to do.
No, they love that. And it's extremely profitable. And I think that's a lot of reason what drives their strategy as to who they support and what they do is based on how big that money train can be and how many people can feed at that trough. And they'll keep those things going. I do think that is one of the things. But the Democrats are owned by the same people. So like my thought is they're not meant to actually be a real resistance anymore. They're meant to be a Mick resistance. It's like the WWF. I think at the end of the day, people like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi are all friends and they laugh at us. Like, it's like a game to them. So it doesn't matter to them who's in charge. Like people like Nancy Pelosi don't care who's president. It doesn't matter to her. She just gets to pretend to be the resistance and she keeps getting reelected and insider trading. And it's just like, it's a game.
And I think you brought up a really great point, Harvey, which I want you both to dissect. One of the issues that we've talked about constantly is just how devastatingly bad the consultant industrial complex really is in politics, especially on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
The big difference between the Democrats and Republicans is you can be a consultant in the Republican Party, but you need to actually win races. Whereas in the Democratic Party, you could be a 10-time loser and they'll still hire you. And I know some of them who got hired, and they get paid pretty well. And so when all of this money is going into a race, you are also recognizing just how bad they are. One of the reasons I really, really want Fetterman to win is because one of the biggest swamp dwellers in all of D.C. is Scott Dworkin. Yeah, you heard me, Scott, if you're out there listening. Who's the head of the Democratic Coalition or Occupy Democrats, whatever the hell these organizations are. And it was brought to our attention, thanks to the Fetterman campaign just a couple of weeks ago, that 80% of the money that these nonprofit Democratic coalition organizations brought in that was supposedly going to go to candidates to help them win races, 80% of the money went to pay consultants. So to me, that is a huge problem. It's not being addressed, and it needs to be addressed going forward if we're going to have any hope of electing good non-corporate representatives into office. Even ones who I think are well-intentioned also get scared because I think the consultant class also threatens the hell out of these campaigns. Well, if you don't pay us, if you don't hire us, we're going to go work with another person, or dare I say, we're going to go help the candidate in the other party.
Can we talk about how much money was spent on the Pennsylvania Senate race? It's like $250 million.
Yeah.
Was spent on the Pennsylvania Senate race, right? Like that's not good.
Do we have, which one are we talking about first?
What, did do Georgia?
The Pennsylvania, no.
Oh, you want to do Pennsylvania?
No, I was just talking about the consultant class.
Oh, okay. So which one are we going to do first?
Guys, take it away. What do you want to? Where do you want to?
Well, let me just say that do you have in front of you? Because I only have like very early returns on Wisconsin. You got anything?
Mandela is up on Ron Johnson, 51-49 with 41% report.
That's scary. What's the percentage of the count?
It's still low. I think we're still at a low percentage.
It all depends on if the vote count's coming in out of Milwaukee.
It says 41% reporting.
The only thing that doesn't look good right now is Eau Claire is going red, and that doesn't. Yeah, Oshkosh and Eau Claire are red. Kenosha is a mix. Milwaukee obviously is blue. Madison's blue. The surrounding 3 or 4 counties are blue, and Green Bay is blue. Again, I
that's
agree.
Just Harvey.
Yeah, I know. That's
I voted as often as I could. I don't know why.
As far as Pennsylvania, let me see. As far as Pennsylvania goes,
let's see a current look, guys. We're going to do a current look at Pennsylvania.
So Pennsylvania right now, it's closed the gap. 36% reporting. Fetterman is up 51-46. The Libertarian candidate Eric Gerhardt has got 1.3% of the vote. Those votes matter. The Libertarian candidate oftentimes is one that normally would go to the GOP. So
yeah,
you never know
usually
how it's going to break. This is just one of those nights where some races are going to go well, maybe some surprising, and most probably not surprising. It already looks like for sure that the GOP is going to take the House. With the way that things obviously unfolded in the state of Florida, that can't possibly be surprising. But I would like to know what your guys' thoughts are regarding.
Well, first of all, I'll just go back for a moment. Yeah. I think you're right about DeSantis 2024. Okay, I've been saying all along, Trump will not end up the candidate.
No.
After the way that DeSantis won tonight, now people are really going to start moving over to his.
No, Trump. Yeah.
Because they see Trump. The one thing about the GOP, even though Trump is beloved by the base, he's a liability, and they know it. And the only thing that matters at the end of the day for the GOP is winning. Now, would it shock me if Trump goes completely nuclear and decides to run as an independent? No, actually, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I actually think he may do that. So in the political world we're living in today, I don't take anything off the table. I think anything's possible. But one thing I think we can.
I'd like to encourage that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should encourage that possibility.
I've given a lot of thought to what I'm going to do in 24, and I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to tune in on the 15th It's going to be a really incredible evening. Ron DeSantis, who is a total ingrate and doesn't realize I made him the governor of the great state of Florida. On the 15th, you're all going to find out exactly what I'm all about. We're going to make a big, beautiful announcement. I may run again. I may run as an independent. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to be really great, and you're not going to want to miss it. You're all terrible people. You're all Democrats. I don't like you. You're not voting for me. But we are going to make America great again.
Again.
In 24. Again. Believe me. Believe me.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, like, the one thing I would say is, like, it depends on what day of the week you ask me this question, because I go back and forth. Half the time I'm totally with what you guys are saying. Other times it's like I just have this sinking feeling that that the base responds so enthusiastically to Trump. And I think the party's not going to get in the way of that, because they've shown like how foolish they look when they try to. And so I guess it remains to be seen for me. I still feel like Trump, if he and DeSantis are going toe to toe, I think that Trump will still win, because he's just, because of that unpredictability and because of that.
You guys both agree that Trump and DeSantis will run in a primary. There will be a primary between the two of them. I think, without question.
Unless somehow Trump gets like legally barred from running for whatever reason. Well, or I don't know. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff.
Personally,
going on.
I think they would love to see Trump versus DeSantis in the GOP primary, because it will be a ratings bonanza, and you normally don't get that in a primary. They will be talking about those two going head to head all day, every day on both sides. It will create, and all corporate media cares about is ratings. So they know if those two are going at it head to head, they're going to do it. A little caveat that a lot of people don't know. DeSantis raised $200 million for this race. He has $100 million already set aside for what he's going to do next. I don't think he's just going to sit around on that money. He's going to spend it, and $100 million already to run for president is a pretty good start.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.